You think strength is loud. You think power looks like someone talking over everyone else, proving a point, winning every argument, showing dominance in every room they walk into. But that's not how a samurai lived. A samurai didn't need to prove anything, because he already knew who he was. And when you truly know who you are, you stop performing for others. You stop chasing attention. You stop reacting to everything. You become still. In feudal Japan, a samurai's life could end in a single moment. No warning, no second chances. One mistake and it was over. So they trained themselves to be precise, not just with a sword, with their mind, with their words, with their actions. And the first thing they mastered was silence. Not the kind of silence that comes from fear, but the kind that comes from control. A samurai could walk into a room full of chaos and say nothing. While others argued, he observed. While others tried to impress, he understood. Because the one who speaks the most often reveals the most, and the one who reveals the most loses control. Think about that. Every time you talk too much, you give away pieces of yourself, your plans, your emotions, your weaknesses. But when you stay silent, people can't read you. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're about to do. And that uncertainty, that's power. A samurai didn't rush to speak. He waited. He listened. He studied the room. He understood people without them even realizing it. Because observation is a weapon. Most people miss this. They think intelligence is about talking smart. But real intelligence is about seeing what others don't. It's about noticing the small details, the shift in someone's tone, the hesitation before they answer, the way someone avoids eye contact. A samurai trained himself to notice everything, because in battle, details decide life or death. And even outside of battle, the same rule applies. The person who sees more wins more. That's the first principle. Observe more than you speak. Now here's where it gets deeper. A samurai didn't just stay silent. When he spoke, it mattered. Every word carried weight. He didn't waste energy on unnecessary conversations. He didn't argue for the sake of ego. He didn't explain himself to people who didn't understand, because he knew something most people ignore. The more you talk, the less your words are worth. If you say everything, nothing feels important. But when you speak rarely, people listen. Your words land harder. They stay longer. They mean something. Imagine two people. One talks constantly, explains everything, fills every silence. The other speaks only when necessary. Short sentences, clear thoughts, no hesitation. Who do you respect more? Exactly. That's the second principle. Speak less, but make every word count. Now let's talk about patience, because silence without patience is useless. A samurai had the ability to wait, not because he had no choice, but because he understood timing. In battle, attacking at the wrong moment meant death. Moving too early, you lose. Moving too late, you lose. So he trained himself to wait for the perfect moment. Calm, focused, ready. And when that moment came, he didn't hesitate. He acted instantly. This is where most people fail. They either rush into things or they wait forever. They act without thinking or they think without acting. A samurai balanced both. Slow mind, fast execution. He would take his time to understand the situation, but once he decided, there was no doubt, no overthinking, no fear, just action. Clean, direct, final. That's the third principle. Think slowly, act quickly. Now understand this. A samurai was not fearless. That's a myth. He felt fear just like anyone else. But the difference was he didn't run from it. He faced it. Every single day. He trained knowing that one day he would die, not someday far away, but possibly today. And when you live with that awareness, everything changes. You stop fearing small things. You stop worrying about what people think. You stop hesitating over meaningless decisions because you've already accepted the worst outcome. And once you accept it, you become free. Free to act. Free to take risks. Free to live fully. That's the fourth principle. Make peace with fear and it loses power over you. Now let's talk about discipline, because without discipline, none of this matters. A samurai didn't rely on motivation. He didn't wake up and ask himself if he felt like training. He trained because it was who he was. Rain or sun, tired or energized, it didn't matter. He showed up, every single day. Because discipline is not something you do, it's something you become. And once it becomes part of your identity, you don't need motivation anymore. You don't need external pressure. You don't need reminders. You just act. Most people fail here. They wait to feel ready. They wait for the perfect mood. They wait for inspiration. But a samurai understood something simple. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never reach your full potential. Because feelings are unstable, they change every day. But discipline, that stays. That's the fifth principle. Build habits so strong they don't depend on your mood. Now picture this. Two men start the same path. One trains only when he feels motivated. The other trains every day, no matter what. At first, there's no difference, but over time, the gap becomes massive. One stays average, the other becomes unstoppable. That's the power of consistency, not intensity, consistency. Small actions repeated daily create massive results. That's how a samurai became lethal, not overnight, but through years of repetition. Now let's go even deeper. A samurai controlled his emotions, not by suppressing them, but by mastering them. He didn't let anger take over because anger leads to mistakes. He didn't let ego guide him because ego blinds judgment. He didn't let fear stop him because fear delays action. He felt everything, but he didn't let those feelings control his decisions. That's the difference. Most people are controlled by their emotions. A samurai controlled his emotions, and that control made him dangerous because when chaos came, he stayed calm. While others panicked, he focused. While others lost control, he remained steady. And in that moment, he had the advantage. That's the sixth principle. Control your emotions or they will control you. Now understand this final truth. A samurai was always ready, not just physically, mentally. He didn't wait for problems to appear. He prepared in advance. He sharpened his skills daily. He trained his mind constantly. So when the moment came, he didn't need time to react. He was already prepared. And that's why he survived. Because he didn't rely on luck. He relied on preparation. Most people live the opposite way. They wait for something to happen and then try to respond. They react instead of preparing. And that's why they struggle. Because they're always one step behind. A samurai stayed one step ahead, always. That's the final principle. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So if you take anything from this, take this. Speak less, observe more. Make your words sharp, not frequent. Think deeply, act without hesitation. Face fear, don't avoid it. Build discipline, not dependence on motivation. Control your emotions, stay calm under pressure. Prepare daily so you're always ready. Because in a world full of noise where everyone is trying to be seen, heard, validated, the one who masters silence, the one who controls himself, the one who moves with precision, that person doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need attention. He doesn't need approval. Because his presence alone speaks louder than words ever could, and that is the way of the samurai.